All right, so we should talk about the elephant in the room, literally the size of an elephant, I think, when I saw Andre stand next to this thing. The GMC Hummer, is it SUV EV or is it EV SUV?
I think it's EV SUV because then they have the EV SUT.
Oh, dear Lord. So,
All caps.
right.
It's like jazz hands all the time. Jazz hands. I'm
So,
not putting Hummer in all caps. I'm not going to do it.
yeah, and so Jill was, and you guys are gonna hate her for this. She was at Final Four, and she was doing a Final Four trip. She actually saw the game. So there you go, hating on Jill.
Actually, I saw the championship game. So I wasn't at the final four on Saturday, but I went to the championship game on Monday.
Right. So Jill had filed her story near the stadium that day on the Hummer. So Jill, I'm gonna let you take it away because, frankly, I was so busy with Easter weekend. I think I caught it. I think I finally saw it Tuesday. The 1 minute infomercial, whatever they put out. So what is this
Yeah.
damn thing?
Well, this damn thing is an electric vehicle that is supposed to, I mean, it is replacing the former Hummer SUV, the H3, but it's all electric now. And they first launched the pickup truck, or the SUT, as they are now calling it. And which, I mean, that follows along the Hummer nomenclature. That's what they called the truck version of the Hummer way back when, 2009. And so now they have the SUV version, which is like the truck but smaller. It is actually a little bit shorter. The wheelbase is smaller, and the enclosed space in the back. It does have a lot of the same functionality that the truck will have, with the crab walk, and it'll have the watts to freedom. And I have to tell you, I literally, it just hit me, watts to freedom.
WT.
WTF.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it hit me on Monday when I was writing the story, or Sunday when I was writing the story. Little bit slow on the uptake here. But it was no whiskey Tango Foxtrot. But yeah, so I was like, oh, that's funny. But yeah, so I mean, it has a lot of the same capabilities. It has, up to 3 motors. However, it will not get 1,000 horsepower, which is what the truck will have. It only have 830 horsepower, but it gets the same pound-feet. So I think they're saying 11,500 pound-feet of torque. On the low end, they're looking at like 300 miles of range. I think on the high end, they're looking at 350. Let me look at that again, because one of the truck is okay, so the max range for the SUV is going to be 300 miles. The max range for the SUT is going to be 350 miles. So base price is the same, just under $80,000. Max price is similar. I think the SUT tops out at $112,000. The SUV is going to top out at about $110,000, and that's with the extreme off-road packaging, with the suspension that has I forget what they call it, the extraction mode, so you can get out of very sticky situations.
Mall parking lot.
But
Mall parking lot.
yeah, or Chicago pothole, I don't know. But one of the things that I'm working on right now is I wanted to do a comparison not only between the SUT and SUV, but then take a look back at the old gasoline version, so the 2009 Hummer H2. And so I put together, like, they haven't really released a lot of information yet and a lot of specifications. But and by the way, General Motors does not archive their media site, so it's been really hard to find the H2 old tech specs. So I've been kind of just Googling and hopefully grabbing correct information from random places around the web. Wikipedia may have been involved, so I'm not going to completely account for all of the details. But I mean, so the interesting thing is the H2 SUT or SUV from way back when is shorter. The wheelbase is about 4 inches shorter. The wheelbase is about 4 inches shorter. It's about 5 inches narrower, so it's not as wide as the electric vehicles are. And it didn't have as much capability as these electric vehicles are going to have. And they're saying 0 to 60 for the SUV is going to be 3.5 seconds. Well, 0 to 60 for the old vehicle with the, I think it was like a V6 engine, maybe. Is 393 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque, 9.1 seconds. 0 to 60, 9.1 seconds. So, I mean, it's just kind of funny to take a look back too at, okay, this is what they were looking at. And what they've done is they've made it bigger, faster, heavier, more capable, and then they've added an electric powertrain to it. So I'm fascinated by it. I loved the H3. I was probably one of those weird people that truly loved it. It was, I think, and this is kind of hilarious. It was like the fourth test vehicle I ever had. So imagine somebody who owns a Saturn. I'm in my 20s. I'm a Saturn driver, and they give me this big honkin' H2 SUV to drive in the city of Chicago. I was so flippin' paranoid the entire time. It obviously didn't fit in my garage, and parked it on the street. I'd wake up every morning. I'm like, okay, it's still there. Not that anybody would get very far in it if they tried to like tow it or hijack it or something. But yeah. So I mean, I liked it. So I'm kind of excited to see this EV and to take it off road and to see what it can do. Obviously a little bit concerned about range, but I mean the old SUV only had about 299 miles of range on a tank of gas. But I mean that's much more easily replenished when you're in the middle of nowhere if you carry an extra gas can. So I don't know. I'm intrigued. I like the SUV better than the SUT. So I will be very curious to see it in real life.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this, and we are in discussion about this. And my thing with it is I see the stats, right? So you got to see the stats, right? And they're putting the BS number of 11,000 foot-pounds of torque, which is just it's mathematical bull. I mean, engineers are pulling numbers out of their butts and they're making numbers. You're talking basically a 3/4 ton heavy-duty SUV. I mean, that's going to be the weight. It's going to be heavy. It's batteries are heavy. It's going to be heavy. So, a really heavy rig that you're going to add additional weight to with passengers. And then I've noticed on some of the GM press releases now that they're talking about range can be impacted by weather, by payload, by driving characteristics. I mean, yeah, obviously, that's not going to be impacted. Like my F-150 hybrid outside. I mean, that thing, I can get 29 miles a gallon. Yeah. If I drive the slowest possible speed known to man and I roll up across every stop sign, and getting to 24 is still a question mark because if the wind blows, I'm not getting 24. There's no way because it's so suspect. It's so turbocharged with the hybrid. It's just too many factors. Like when I get a naturally aspirated engine, I know I'm going to get EPA because it's just what's going to do. There's no question marks there. So, but here's my thing, is that I'm just not excited about it. Like, am I too practical? Am I getting too? I know. Get off my lawn. I get it. I don't. When they're offering something for 112,000, whatever the price is going to be. I mean, it's like the people buying this to me are not practical consumers. They're not thinking about all the variants. Like the guy I interviewed one time, he bought the GMC Hummer SUT, wanted to live off grid in Alaska, in the deep woods, and I asked him how he's going to charge this thing, and he was like, "What do you mean? I'll just I don't need to charge it." So I'm just like, I don't. Yeah, that's my look I have, and I would rub my chin, but people say that I rub my chin too much in the videos.
You do that too much, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, yeah. So Philip says you can make 1,000,000 pounds of torque with the right gearing. You can do whatever you want electric. I mean, electric on demand. Mm-hmm. There was a video. And I wonder, Mike says, more excited about magnet electric axles go to normally pick up chassis. Yeah, make it look normal. But Jill, did you see the video that our friend Mercedes Lilienthal shot? It was a Jeep Wrangler Magneto that was the battery electric that went down a climb in Moab, and it's on the Crankshaft Culture Facebook page, whatever.
That's incredible.
It just reminds me of a spaceship whenever
It
I
is.
see it in here.
Nice and whiny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, it's like I have this ongoing debate on my Facebook page, my personal one, and I've asked people, like, is this something you really want? And I get that there's people that want to go out in nature and only hear nature. Yeah, there's hiking trails. I mean, there's good for that. People want to go camping and only want to be camping. Every time I go camping that KOA, somebody brings out a radio. Like, camping is never quiet anymore. It's dudes with Budweiser and a radio blaring off the back of their pickup. They want to have a party when they're camping. So there's nothing to me about going in nature that's quiet. I play golf. I guarantee you, every time I play golf, somebody's getting a new roof. It's so I'm trying to figure out, like, A, who can afford it without an 84-month loan. I mean, so 60-month loan, $112,000. I mean, that's several grand a month, probably. Is my guess, based on what I bought that'd be double. So my truck from Ford Credit was $1,000 a month, nothing down, for 5 years at $57,000. That was, I mean, I refinanced, but if you double that price with nothing down, you're at $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I will point out to you the first edition, or edition 1, I forget what they're calling it, is already sold out. The most expensive models are already sold out.
Which is still BS. It's still no, it is BS because.
But you don't know if they only sold 5 of them and now they're sold out. Like, you don't, they don't reveal to you like how many.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that's ridiculous. So I mean, it's like I'm. Gene says it's not a new roof; it's a golf balls hitting the roof. No, it is a real roof. No, here's my problem, is that I'm gonna go to the Jeep 4xe event in Austin in 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks, and I'm trying to be excited about this thing. I because I need to be, right? As a journalist, I need to understand what this customer is buying. I need to give them, right information. I don't want to be there biased against this electric technology off-road. I'm really, trust me, I'm trying hard for this. And I'm taking my RC cars and we're testing out electric off-road. And I did buy a golf cart, which is gas, by the way, FYI. Anyways, so I'm thinking about this stuff, and random fact. So I'm trying to understand this, and I'm trying to understand the motivation behind this. I was watching the CBS News do the thing with Mark Royce, and he was talking about the Plant Zero. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's the biggest body shop GM's ever built, and all the vehicles in that lineup be fully electric. I know John Voeckler and I have talked about this, a few times about this, and it's not my lifetime will happen. We'll never get the full EV. 2% of all car sales last year were electric vehicles. And Tesla owned 1%, so guess what? Everybody else got run for scraps. But I don't know. It's just... So, guys, put in the comments below. I mean, are you guys excited for a quiet off-road? Is that something that makes electric gear good for deer hunting? No, it's not. No, I'm telling you, I've hunted deer for a long time. They will see you. They will smell you. You can't sneak up on a deer. If you can, you're like one of those commandos in like some 80s action movie. Like, there's no...
And you haven't showered for a week.
Yeah, I mean, you're covered in deer urine. I mean, that's not going to happen. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm keeping an open mind as best I can. But I saw that video from Mercedes and I was like, I just don't get it. So my wife brought up a point. She says, if you lived in a city where things were really noisy all the time, maybe you'd want a quieter car, like, so you're not attributing to the noise in the city. Is that appealing to you, being in Chicago? Would you want something that's quiet? Because, I mean, I know you fell in love with the Mach-E, and I know your husband said he would drive it, but is it appealing? Is that something you're going to put on your list that says, if I was a journalist driving 100 cars a year, I'm going to drive the Mach-E?
I mean, quiet is probably not necessarily on my list. I mean, I will say there is there's always noise in my neighborhood. Luckily, I do not live across from a fire station or near a fire station, because that would be a whole new set of noise. But I mean, you're always hearing cars go up and down your street. When I lived, so I currently live on a side street, and I moved there from a main street, and on the main street, like it was just a hum in the background, and you just tune it out eventually.
It's city hum. Like you go to major cities, there's a din of a sound in the city.
Yeah, but for me, it's not the sound that I would want. It's the fuel economy. And so that's why, for me, I am a fan of plug-in hybrids because especially the ones like the Toyota Prius, or not the Toyota Prius, but the Toyota RAV4 Prime, where it gets like 40 or 50 miles of range. That to me is a super practical vehicle because I could probably go weeks without ever dipping into the gas tank. I go to the gym. It's there and back is 5 miles. If I went out to the suburbs, depending on which suburb I went to, I mean, maybe that's 40 miles round trip. So I would just dip into the gasoline, getting home. But for the most part, for me, it would be more of a fuel economy thing and a fuel savings thing than a silence, quiet thing. And would I be willing to pay $112,000 for that? No. But when you look at something like the Jeep 4xe, and I'm going to be super duper curious about what the pricing is on that, because I notoriously get around 12 miles per gallon when I drive a Wrangler in the city of Chicago. I get really, really crappy gas mileage. So if I could get anything over 20, in the city, that would be amazing. And so to me, that's the sell with something like the 4xe. It's not the quiet communing with nature or being silent in the city. It's the ability to have this super capable vehicle that I can take off road, that I can, take on a road trip, that I can drive everywhere and still get 30 to 35 miles per gallon when I'm in the city. Maybe more, because it's plug-in electric.
Well, and Jacob brings up a good point about instant torque. So I've heard this in the comments too, that the biggest thing with battery electric and the biggest thing with plug-in is instant torque. And you and I have been off-roading. Mm-hmm. I don't recall a time with a new vehicle that I've been needing more torque to get up a climb. I've needed locking rear axles. I've needed crawl mode or whatever, crawl control. I've needed front locking axle. I mean, I've needed some off-road gear to get up, but I can't think of a time I needed torque.
No, but so here's the thing. What they are going to show you on this program is this vehicle is just as capable as any Wrangler you have ever driven before. Torque, no torque, horsepower, no horsepower. There are no compromises in the off-road capability of this vehicle. And you can, and you can get like 30 miles per gallon when you tool around town. A lot of people will probably never, ever, let me throw in a little Taylor Swift there, take their Wrangler off-road. So, I mean, it's a city car. And people want to drive it. People want it. It looks cool. It looks like they could do something. It looks, badass. But they may go over a speed bump, or drive over a curb when they're trying to parallel park. Otherwise they're not really going to be traversing much terrain. So I think that the point of the program that you're going to is to show you there are no compromises. It's just as good as every Wrangler has ever been. But there's this other thing that makes it even better.
All right, so it's going to look good on a Tinder profile picture. I'm with you there. So
with those blue toe hooks. Come on.